Hi, everyone. It's Darren. Hope you're having a good weekend as we head into the end of winter, the beginning of spring. So, I wanted to talk to you about three little items that I either came across or was reminded of the past few days. So, the first one has to do with current conversations that are going on about the filibuster. So, the filibuster is the current requirement that you have 60 votes in the Senate to pass any legislation. And so I got into looking at the numbers for this. So if you look at the least populous states in the country, and you look at the senators that represent the 41 senators that represent the least populous states, so the 20 least populous states, and then half the population of the 21st least populous state. Then if you add all of those people up, that actually adds up to 35.3 million Americans. Now, if it's a 60 vote requirement in the Senate to pass legislation, that means that you only need 41 votes to veto anything, to essentially override any legislation. So, if there's only 35.3 million Americans that are represented by 41 senators, that means that senators representing 35.3 million Americans can veto any legislation, no matter how popular it is in the rest of the country, and no matter how much support it has in the House or the rest of the Senate. Now, the population of California is 39.4 million. This is estimated as of July 1st of last year, 2020. So that's over 4 million more. So that means there are 4 million more Californians than there are Americans that are represented by senators that can override and essentially veto any legislation at the federal level. I just want to repeat that. The number of Americans that are represented by senators that can override legislation at the federal level is 4 million less than all Californians. Just imagine for a minute, so just do a thought experiment. Imagine if California alone could unilaterally veto any legislation in Congress. Just California. So anytime anything comes up for a vote, goes through the House and the Senate, has to be signed by the president, California all by itself could say, nope, we don't want this. You have to come negotiate with us. We have a unilateral veto over all 49 states. Can you imagine the colossal temper tantrum that would be thrown by the rest of the country? Just think about that. Just think about how that would be received and what the reaction would be. And that's basically what we have now. Second item. This concerns Mitch McConnell. So, Mitch McConnell has made several statements in the past couple months, and I'm just going to put them together. I'm not going to comment on it. I'm just going to list them in order that he made them, and I want you to think for a minute about the ramifications of what he has said at different times. So, on December 15th of last year, Mitch McConnell acknowledged Joe Biden was the president-elect. Quote, our country has officially elected a president-elect and a vice president-elect. The Electoral College has spoken, so today I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. Okay, December 15, 2020. Okay, not my words, Mitch McConnell's. Okay. Then we go forward. The day of the insurrection, this is January 6th. I'll put links to all these in the description. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell condemned rioters who stormed the Capitol as members of a, quote, failed insurrection They failed to attempt to obstruct the Congress. This failed insurrection underscored how crucial the task before us is for our public. So that was January 6th. Then we move forward to February 14, and Mitch McConnell, again, from the Senate floor, says Trump is morally responsible for the January 6th attack. So his quote is, quote, "There is no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day," unquote. So he's referring to January 6th. Okay, so that's 3 statements by Mitch McConnell. Then we come to February 26th. Mitch McConnell says he'd absolutely support Trump as 2024 nominee. Okay, so what did he say here? When directly asked if he would support Trump again were he to win the nomination, McConnell responded, "The nominee of the party? Absolutely." That's a quote. So, just to review, 4 quotes. In mid-December, McConnell recognizes Joe Biden as president-elect. Then, a few weeks later, after the insurrection, or immediately after it, he calls it a failed insurrection. About a month after that, a little later in February, he said Trump was no question practically and morally responsible for that event. And yet, a couple weeks after that, he says, of course, he will absolutely support the former president if he wins the nomination. Okay, now, I'm going to make a claim here. If you take those 3 things to be true, as he has said that he does. So he has said Joe Biden was duly elected, January 6th was a failed insurrection, Trump is practically and morally responsible. Then you would think that it would follow from that the person who is morally responsible for that would not be eligible to run for president again, would be disqualified. But apparently not. So let's be clear what he is saying here. This is something that I think has gone, I don't know if it's gone under people's radar, but it just hasn't gotten the attention that I think it deserves. In effect, Mitch McConnell is normalizing political violence. He is saying that violence to achieve a political end is now acceptable behavior in the Republican Party. At the very least, it's not going to be punished, and it doesn't disqualify you from future office. So that's normalizing that behavior. So that's the country we live in. One of the 2 major parties is normalizing political violence, and I would argue is in a state of open insurrection against the country. The Republican Party is an insurrectionary party. The third item I wanted to bring to your attention, I'm just going to link to this in the description. It's just a video from the Gravel Institute that was very interesting. It is called "Why America Sucks at Everything." This is by David Cross. Now, I have a little bit of trouble with the economic framing of this. He does use a little bit of taxes, fund spending at the federal level language, which I have issues with. But other than that, he's pretty spot on this. He talks about how America is failing in a number of issues, especially healthcare. He spends quite a bit of time talking about healthcare. But I would recommend the video. I think it's very interesting. So, yeah, 3 items to think about today. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.